So today, now that we're ready, we got it all together. We are totally ready. Today, our topic is creative imagination, your superpower. I like to call it, everybody's talking about AI, but we got something better. We got CI. We got creative imagination. And trust me, creative imagination is where AI came from. If there were no creative imagination, there'd be no AI. And so we are the original creators of the world. The idea of creative imagination is, we talk about imagination, but creative imagination is something special. We're going to talk about that. It's an application of your regular imagination. I love to start with a couple of quotes. Muhammad Ali, one of my favorite people. There's a picture of me and Ali. I met him a couple of times. And I always thought he was bigger than he was. Ali was only about 6'3". I don't know why I thought he was like Shaquille O'Neal size. But when you met him, he had such a presence that it was like, you felt like he was that tall. He seemed to just take up all that space. He said something powerful. He said, "The man who has no imagination has no wings." And I thought about that. That means that he can't soar above reality. He can't soar above everything else and see more than anybody else. Einstein went on to say that imagination is everything. It is the preview of coming attractions. Cliff, I'm going to lump you in with that. When we were kids, remember we used to go to the movies and every weekend you got coming attractions. Brownie, you all wouldn't know about that. You guys are too young, but they had coming attractions. And you actually got the news in the movie theater. They had the newsreel. Yeah. And so you were always excited about next week. So imagination is your preview of coming attractions because you have the ability to create your life exactly the way you want it to go. I'm going to give some good news and some bad news. The good news is there's 66 days left in the year. The bad news is there's 66 days left in the year. And that means that we have to get busy. The purpose of these whole series of talks is really to help move us through the year productively and effectively. And I'm telling you, at the end of the year, that first Sunday of the new year, we're going to have a celebration because everybody's going to come in and part of the service is going to have people sharing how they accomplished their goals for this year. So when we look at these 66 days, there are two things we really have to think about. Now and next. What do we do now to create the next that we want to experience? That's an interesting thought because now is a gift from God. There are 5 powerful gifts that the Creator has given us. There are a lot of others, but I want to focus on 5. Number 1, time. Time is God's gift to us, so whatever we do is done in the context of time. So we have 66 days left. We can use it productively and create a December 31st where we'll be strutting around like turkeys. Talking about how sweet it is, how we got it done. But our gift to God is what we do with that time. And so everything we do is in that time context. What I do, how I do it. But these 66 days are enough time to realize our purpose and get things done. I guarantee you that there's at least 1 or 2 very, very important things that you want to do in your life that over these 66 days you can do it all the way. Second gift from God is the gift of thought. The first law of success says a man, a mind. You can tell the Bible was written by men. Isn't that interesting? We need to work on. A mind shall have whatsoever it thinks in its heart. Earl Nightingale said, you become what you think about most of the time. So our thoughts are literally the blueprint for our lives. If we think positive thoughts, we experience positive things. If we think negative thoughts, we attract negative things. The universe is literally created from thought. The third gift is action, our capacity to take action. And action involves something interesting. Choice. You just can't take general action. Y'all, action has to be specific. So it means there's a choice. And so as we go forth over these next 66 days, we have a choice of the things that we do to create the life we want to experience at the end of the year. The fourth gift is discipline. Without discipline, it will not happen. We have a lot of military folks. All the military folks, raise your hands, have been in the military. Yes, sir. Yeah. Doesn't discipline make it happen? Without discipline, none of that stuff works. And so we have to have, we'll call it self-discipline. In order to create the life we desire to experience, we have to take control of our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and our relationships. And make sure they're all working together. The fifth gift is the gift of imagination. And imagination is a different kind of animal. I want to read a little piece from our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, and it says this. Your imagination is the connecting link between your own human consciousness and the universal consciousness. Through imagination, the formless energy of the universal mind becomes the formed energy in your own mind, and thus your life experience. Your power of imagination is used to see beyond the appearances of your present situation to the possibilities of who you really are and what you can become. That's why it's a power tool. Because imagination says you have the ability now to create your life just the way you want it. The interesting thing, though, is the scripture. And I love to ground things in scripture because the Bible is the greatest scriptural text. But when you really look at all the different religions, all of them have some text, some body of writing. And you'll find the same principle because the principles are the same. Gravity in French is gravity in English. You jump out of a Russian window, you're going to the ground. In Russian. Okay. But there's a beautiful scripture, and it says, the 37th chapter of Psalms, in the 4th verse, it says, delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of their heart. Delight thyself in the Lord. In other words, aligning yourself with the Supreme Being, aligning yourself with the Creator, means that you now have to bring something to that equation, a desire. God can give you everything but a desire. You have to have your own desire. And so for creative imagination to work, you have to have a goal. You have to have something you want to be, something you want to do, something you want to achieve, something you want to become. You know, Tesla, I often talk about Tesla and Edison never got along because Tesla's creative process was one based on imagination. And so whenever he had a challenge, he would literally go to sleep, go into a meditation, and he'd see the answer. And he'd come back, and his whole thing was how to create the thing that he'd already seen in his imagination. And we do the same thing in our lives. Once we see it, I see that trip to I've been to Egypt. Okay? But I want to see that great wall. And so I see myself there, and I took my friends and family. I even took a couple of cousins I don't even like. We got something like that. I just want them to see it. Maybe that'll help them, you know. So, this power of imagination, it gives you that ability to create your own world. But let's go a step further. Creative imagination now says this. There are basically two types of imagination. Let's put it. Synthetic imagination is like putting stuff together. Synthetic imagination, existing concepts, ideas, and plans are arranged into new combinations. So Edison was a creator by synthetic imagination. That's why he tried 3,000 times to find the filament. The only thing that kept him going was a good attitude. Okay? As he said to the reporter who asked him, Mr. Edison, why have you not quit? You failed to identify this filament stuff. He said, I have not failed in anything. I have successfully identified 3,000 ways that will not work. But creative imagination, through creative imagination, your mind has direct communication and contact with universal intelligence. And see, the God mind has everything. If the God mind was not complete, then there was something God didn't do. You can never imagine God going, wow, I forgot to create trees. So the whole universe is already there. And so creative imagination says, let me take my personal consciousness to the level where I can connect with universal consciousness and see further than my circumstances. See further than my condition. Because that's what takes you home. You get stuck in your circumstances. Even the prodigal son, when he was in the pig pen of life, he said, let me arise. He said, he came to himself, and he realized he had the ability, he was connected to an all-powerful Father, and he said, let me arise and go to my source. Creative imagination is the faculty through which hunches and inspiration come. It communicates through the subconscious minds of other people and operates as a sixth sense. Though it operates automatically, creative intelligence is most productive when your conscious and subconscious minds are in harmony with it. And so that's saying now, if you really want to transform your life over these next 66 days, and the good thing about the 66 days ahead is that it sets you up for next year. Wherever you end this year, you start next year, so why not start on a win? You know, when you watch football and your team comes in and they got 6 wins under their belt, they're hard to beat because their confidence level is up. The fifth gift from God, this imagination, is so powerful because it gives you the ability to see beyond what is to what can be. And so then the thought says then, how do we develop it? Is it something that if you got it, good, God bless you, and if you don't, you're out of luck? No. Creative imagination is a skill that you can learn, practice, and master. And we're going to complete this talk today with going into these steps to develop your creative imagination, because now you'll have the tool that between now and the end of the year you can work with it. Step 1, stimulate your mind by reading, by travel, by looking at new things. You know, the man who's never left home thinks his mother's the best cook. So you want to go out into the world, you want to see other things. When you stimulate your mind by reading and exposure, your level of consciousness works with what you already know. You know, when people are stuck in that survival concept, where they're always, just let me get enough to eat, let me have a place to sleep, and then I'm done. They get stuck. But through creative imagination, you can see above the pig pens of life to something better. So stimulate your mind by reading. Not only must you learn, but you must also accept what you learn. See, when we start thinking about reading and expanding our minds, we first have to acknowledge that we have the power to do it. Then we have to accept what we learn. You know, there are people that can read a passage and they'll still be stuck on last year's thought. Sometimes when folks have had a lot of trauma, they can read stuff and see it and they still can't get past it. So read, but then keep an open mind. Step 2, realize that it's a skill that you can practice. If you meditate every day for 21 days, if you can hold yourself 21 days, you agree to do a meditation at a certain time, a certain place, for a certain amount of time. Even if all you did was do a breathing meditation, you will put yourself in a vibration, in a rhythm that you will have access to great power. If you just do that breathing meditation about that 4th or 5th day, ideas will start to come into your head. I mean, it's amazing. When it says, scripture says, be still and know, that means that when you can close out all the outside stuff, you can let that inside stuff coming from the Creator come in you, and you have incredible ideas. So to realize that you can literally learn, practice, and master your creative imagination. So you can become the Tesla. If you can read about the life of Tesla, was 100 years ahead of it. We're still trying to catch up with where he was 100 years ago. How can that be? How can he know stuff like that? But that's the ability to connect with infinite intelligence. Step number 3, you must have your goals. You know, every success book, every time we talk about the necessity of having goals, written goals, the Habakkuk says, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. Though it is for an appointed time. The fact that you have a goal of something you want to be automatically creates the vibration to manifest it. You undermine it by saying you don't have the ability. You undermine it by being around the wrong people. Boy, don't share your goals with dream snatchers. Anybody know a dream snatcher? Okay. Yes, sir. But that idea now of really being so focused on your goals that now the picture comes and you create the vibration to bring it into your life. Step 4, develop your power of concentration. You see, it's always about energy, and whatever you focus on grows. Where focus goes, power flows. If you notice that when you've ever really wanted something really, 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 really badly, you got it. Whenever you wanted something really bad, I know as a young man, I wanted to drive. That was the thing, man. I wanted a car. And I wanted it so bad that I turned 16, I think on a Thursday, and I had me a car on a Friday. My mama said, how'd you do that? You don't even have a job. She goes up there. In those days, the Chrysler place was on 17th Street near Worcester. She goes there, and she says to him, how are you going to sell this kid a car? The guy said, ma'am, anybody who comes in here with $1,000 is going to walk out with a car. But that's how badly I wanted. All I could think about was that car. And so that ability to concentrate and focus helps you manifest and use that superpower. And then finally, the 5th key is to control your moods and emotions. That can throw you off. Your moods, the days when you don't feel like it. We said meditate for 21 days in a row. I guarantee you that there's going to be a day you're like, I don't feel like doing this. It's cold. But I had a teacher, and one of the exercises we had to do was we had a symbol of our life. I had a beautiful brass and silver cup. And every day for 21 days, you had to get up and set that cup upright and say, today I'm open for business to do whatever it takes to get what I want. And then at the night, you're supposed to turn it over and say, today I did everything I could to make tomorrow the way I want it to be. 21 days. The only problem was this: if you missed a day, you had to start over. It took me almost 3 months. But by the time I got it. So, this idea of your creative imagination is to realize that you can develop it, you can use it, and it becomes your power tool. That no matter what circumstances, no matter what past hurt, past disappointments, whatever's gone on in the past, through your creative imagination, you can create a new view and a new you. So just to recap, there are 5 gifts from God: time, thought, action, discipline, and imagination. The creative imagination can be developed and used by you to transform your world into anything you want it to do, to bring you goodness, to bring you joy, to heal you. And you stimulate it by reading, becoming a student of imagination, having clearly defined goals, developing your powers of concentration, and then controlling your moods and emotions. So let's stand up and close out. Was this helpful today?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You ready to go out and do it? All right. Like I'm getting ready to leave. You know, you all are such a beautiful audience. I love people taking notes. Some of you think I might give a test. I'll see. So repeat after me. Stimulate my mind by reading and studying.
Stimulate my mind by reading and studying.
Practice creative imagination.
Practice creative imagination.
I have clearly defined SMART goals.
I have clearly defined SMART goals.
I develop my powers of concentration.
I develop my powers of concentration.
I control my moods and my emotions.
I control my moods and my emotions.
Always knowing that the best is yet to come. Give yourselves a hand. Thank you so very much. You may be